What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing, everybody? Yeah, Jay here. How's it going? We're here at the Coffee Q&A, our daily dose of coffee talk and brewing and whatever about coffee for the home enthusiasts and the occasional professionals. So how y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Sorry, had a little bit of a later night this last night. So what's going on? It's Thanksgiving week, as you know. But today, well, let's rewind. Saturday, we released a new video here on the main channel about a visit to a place called Wanwan Coffee Roasters. And basically I had the best espresso of my career, best espresso I've ever had, something really wonderful, maybe just the number one and two. And so the number one, of course, was this one called the Typica Mejorado from Finca Soledad down in Colombia by Pepe Gijon. And I did not get that coffee. Don Chan, the owner of Wanwan, was kind enough to give me this. He gave me the one that we had, the first coffee we had, which is a really interesting Liberica experimental lot that's from Temanggung, which is an island in Indonesia. And it is a purple honey lot. Now, Eric, good morning. How are you doing today? It's a purple honey lot, and I don't really know what purple honey means. I should have asked Dawn. I didn't, here's the thing. When I'm shooting the actual videos in the field, I'm actually operating the camera as well, right? So in that particular shoot, we're doing two cameras, and I'm talking. So I'm trying to be engaging, get information, as well as position cameras. And I have to think about how the cameras are positioned on everything, as well as microphone placement. Because I don't know if you may have noticed, if you watch the video, there are parts where my voice is a little bit lighter because the microphone is actually facing Dawn instead of me. So it's kind of getting my, surrounding the non-directional noise. Well, hey, good morning. The surprise in the one when you did the video and the owner realized that y'all, oh yeah, that's totally natural, totally unscripted. I mean, I was told by somebody, and I wish I could remember. I'm editing these videos months later now, and so a lot of the details, some of the details are like escaping me. But I don't remember. Somebody told me that, hey, go check out this place, Wanwan, and I was like, huh. And I remember looking at the pictures on Google Maps, and they had this Chinese dining room set, and I was like, that's kind of weird and kind of funky, and I guess I'm not too far away, so I'm going to go check it out. And so I went, and imagine my surprise finding Dawn. I was like, oh my gosh, man, I totally had no idea you were here. And basically, it's his girlfriend that's from Thailand, and I guess somehow they met, they got together, and they decided to move to Bangkok. And as he says in the video, I include this part in the long form video, the deep dive, where he talks about the difference in cost of living between Hong Kong and Bangkok. And I think it's something like 40% less the cost of living. So that was really, really kind of interesting, to see. And you go to places like Southeast Asia, Bangkok, Manila, and they're definitely lower costs of living than other places. So it was really a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. I was really surprised. And Dawn is the 3-time barista champion of Hong Kong. And he took 5th place this year in Athens at the World Championships. So he did really well. I'm sure he's a little bit disappointed. I mean, everybody's disappointed. Like I tell my judges, and even the competitors, when we have our competitors meeting at these national level events, I say, the reality is that no matter what people may say, no matter how they may act, there's only one person at the end of the day that's truly happy. And that's the guy who wins. Everybody else has a little bit of disappointment. They may be stoked that they did well, but everybody always wants to win. And that's why when I work with the judges, I always try to keep them and keep that in their mind, that as you're working with the competitors, whether you're standing in front of them judging them or you're reviewing notes with them after, is that at some point they're all disappointed. But anyway, it was a fantastic coffee, fantastic experience. I mean, as you can see in the video, he was telling about this Temanggung, and he was like, this Temanggung, it's a whole different kind of Liberica, small size beans, and really special. And then he roasts it right there. And I was like, You're going to roast it? I was like, oh, all right. Well, that's an interesting way to do it. And actually, I really like that. And he's using the Ikawa. And if you're familiar with the Ikawa is this tabletop electronic roaster that has 60-gram capacity. There's a newer one that has a greater amount of capacity. It costs like $35,000 to $4,000. Wilson, good morning. How are you doing? And it's a nice roaster. But for me, I'm like, I'm going to spend $4,000 and I'm going to get 60 grams out of it. To me, I think that's insane. Like, I'm just like, no, that's craziness. Like 10 to 15 to 12 minutes to roast a batch and I don't get 60 grams and I got to pay $4,000. Oh, hell no. That's craziness, right? But, because especially since if we're doing full-size cuppings here, I do need a roaster that's going to do at least 150 grams so I can get a full five sample out of it. Mom, good morning as well. How are you doing? And I think that to me, that's what's important. And I can get a roaster like that. Like we use the Quest M3 here. You can buy those new for like $1,500 and you get them. I got mine used for $700. So it's a lot more economical. And it's also a lot more like the commercial roastery. We're a drum roasting house, right? So I like the drum roasters, and the Quest M3 kind of mimics that, where the Ikawa is, of course, basically a popcorn popper, right? It's hot air blown. But I must say, having that experience at Wanwan, kind of changed my perspective on it. Like he's able to run out there, roast up just a little bit, 60 grams or whatever he roasted, come back, and it's fairly easy, fairly lickety split. So it could be a possibility. It just takes a long time. But anyway, let's get to this purple honey. Like I said, it's a purple honey coffee. And I don't really know what purple honey means. I wish I had the fortitude and foresight to actually go figure that out. But the purple honey. Oh, so honey processing, if you're familiar. So we talked before about processing, and the basic processing method that's used, especially in Latin America, is the wash process, where they take the coffee, they depulp it, and separate the beans from the cherry. And the beans are coated in this kind of pulpy matter called mucilage. Typically, they're going to take that, put that mucilage-laden coffee in a water bath where it will encourage fermentation over the next 16 to 24 hours. And that fermentation is really to have the yeast eat the sugars that make up the mucilage so we get rid of it. And then it's what we call clean coffee, wash coffee. The other way to do it is natural process coffee, where you take the whole cherry, lay it out in the sun, and dry it for like 21 days. And then once that drying period is finished, you're going to hull off the hull. And honey processing is something that we used to call pulp natural, right? And what pulp natural would be that we would take the coffee like we would for wash processing. We would pulp it, meaning take the bean out of the cherry with the mucilage, and then basically you dry it from that point. And that would give you this thing called pulp natural. Now, probably 15 or almost, 20 years ago, people started playing with something called the honey processing. And the honey processing is just basically removing a certain amount of the mucilage that's covering the bean and then drying it, right? So you've got pulp natural, which is essentially a black honey. So if you hear black honey, pulp natural, they're almost the same. Then there's red honey. Then there's orange, yellow, white, and then that's the lowest grade. And what I mean by lowest grade is that it's just leaving a really, really thin layer of the mucilage on the bean. And so I don't know where maybe they're using purple as like as another term for black. So maybe somewhere between black and red, right? So maybe not completely all pulp, or they don't leave 100% mucilage on. Maybe they just take off a little bit. I'm guessing that might be what it is. Eric says, I studied the roaster and opted for a Cafe Logic for $1,100. Oh, nice. Fluid bed roaster with profiles. Oh, awesome. I don't know if I've seen the Cafe Logic. We were looking at the Roast P3000, I think it was, back at the trade show. Cool roaster. I dig it. A really good friend of mine, John Piquet in Cafe de Bola in Salt Lake City, he uses the Bellwether, the one that you saw James. If you watch that video with James Hoffman, he's like sitting on it. John's been working with Bellwether for well over 10, 12, 15 years probably. And he has he started with their very early models, and they had a real interesting program where they'll send you the roaster and you pay them on a monthly basis or something like that based on the amount of coffee you roast through it. Now, I don't know if that was their standard deal. I think that's the deal he was working under. I don't know how it works today. And Bulkhead says, Ikawa has a Home 100 version now that does 100 grams and is 12. Oh, that's much more reasonable, much more reasonable. That could be worth investigating, especially if you want to do a program where you're roasting coffee live for guests. I think there could be something compelling there, something compelling. And I think the nice thing with the Ikawa, like compared to, let's say, the Quest, is that the Quest is completely manual. Ikawa, you can program it. And so if you wanted to do like a tasting experience with guests, you could totally have your coffee in the Ikawa programmed to roast a certain profile, a certain way, a certain thing. So basically, what you do is hit it, let it run, and then it'll stop and drop it all. And I think that could be very compelling. That way you could be like, well, we're going to have this coffee today. Let's roast it fresh, and then you can try fresh. And as we've seen in the video series that we did a few weeks ago about the degassing, like you can get really great results directly out of the roaster. And maybe not as good results as we had been presuming in the industry 24 hours later. I tell you what, that series of videos really kind of has called into question our hardcore beliefs about coffee and degassing and all that. All right, so Eric says, thanks. I was curious about honey processing. It seems to be, yeah, it definitely can be. We use, what do we call it? We use a process using anaerobic fermentation, where we use a low oxygen environment to promote malolactic fermentation. And so we bring a coffee and this is what we use for our cold brew program. That brings out a lot more like milky, sweet characters. Maybe we'll brew some up one day and we'll talk more about that. Actually, I should remember to roast some before we tear on the roaster next month. And then we'll have it maybe in January or something. All right, so let's get to the Wanwan, because that's really what we're here for. And I'm babbling away for a very long time. Okay, so here's Wanwan. Let me adjust our settings so it looks better. Okay, there we go. Wanwan. Now let's open it up. Now it says here, tasting notes of mulberry, genmaicha, butterfly pea, stevia, and very sweet. Right, there you are. Like if you watch the video, you know, he hit his description. He said, genmaicha. I just like the way he says, genmaicha. I was like, oh, all right, right on. All right, so let's have a look here. I have not opened this since he gave it to me. And this is the same batch of the coffee that was featured in the video itself. This is actually the same roast batch that I drank. Oh, wow, there's still. I just had this wafting that's kind of milk chocolatey, kind of sweet. Oh, definitely heavy fruity, like dark cherry. Oh, like cherry cordials, right? Like dark cherry cordials, dark cherry, dark chocolate. Oh, that is really quite nice. Michael, welcome. How are you doing? Good to see you. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. That's honestly, I don't remember what it smelled like when in the video. Like I try to talk as much as I can when we're shooting the video so that I'll have a reference point. And actually, as a side note, I was in Dumaguete after that, and I went to all these shops and shot all this video. I mean, I shot a ton of video, and then I realized that the microphone wasn't fully plugged into the camera, so it recorded no audio for like a day and a half. And I was like, so I have to try to. And what I mean by that is that because I'll take the video and I'll talk in the video, trying to make notes and try to give my expression so that when I edit it a while down the line, I'll have some reference point. But I don't remember what this is. And oh man, that does smell really, really special. Okay, let's have a look at it. So as you can see, the roast profile is kind of on the lighter side, right? And this is Liberica. Liberica is a different species of coffee, right? The main species that we talk about with coffee are Arabica, Robusta, and then there's Liberica. And I do have an affinity for Liberica. Like some people in the industry, they're like, "Oh, we don't like Liberica. We don't like Liberica." But I have an affinity for it because culturally in the Philippines, in the Batangas area, they've historically always grown what we call barako, which is actually Liberica. And then the typical way of processing there is to process it natural. So you get this really fruitiness to the coffee and if we look on the scale of, worldwide coffees and the quality stuff, a lot of the Liberica that's produced or the barako that's produced in Batangas isn't that high quality. But I don't know. It's a cultural pride thing. I remember when in the 90s, I would go to Manila and I would be like, go to this place called Cafe Figaro, and they would have the Silvanas, which is like this small cake of basically it's baked meringue with layers of sugared butter and chopped cashews. It is my favorite dessert in the entire world. My mom's making it tomorrow for Thanksgiving. I'm so stoked. But so we would go to Figaro and have the Sylvanas and the Liberica Barako, and I always enjoyed that. No matter how they made, and this is way before I got into coffee professionally, so I didn't really know anything. But still, today I still have this affinity for this particular bean. But so as you can see, it's a little bit on the small side, right? If we compare it to, it would be like maybe a 13, 14 screen in Arabica or like a comparative Robusta type of coffee in size. But the aroma, my goodness, that is truly special. Okay, so in the video, you're going to see Don is preparing the coffee. He gives the ratio, which I don't recall. We're not going to follow his ratio. We're going to follow our ratio because just so we have a consistent standard of how we're brewing on the show and here as a reference point to see. Otherwise, I think that we're not really comparing apples to apples or Liberica to Arabica, Michael says that my wife is from Indonesia. It's great to hear there's wonderful coffee there. I've tasted one of the best coffees I've had from Proud Mary that was roasted by a retired. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, especially now, especially in today's world, it's so very interesting because there's so many producers now that are really taking their time and really thinking about how to grow better quality coffee. Like 20 years ago when I first got into it, and like even I guess 2008, 2009, when I started to buy coffee, it was still different. It wasn't as prolific. Like it was more difficult to find smaller farmers willing to do it. And part of that's because majority of the farmers are not well capitalized, right? They're not in the industry. We always talk about helping the farmers. Like you see all this like marketing about, oh, we care about the farmers. We want to pay more. We want to do this. We want to do that. And sure, that may be altruistically true, but I don't know if I ever see that too often. And the reality is that farmers, because they are, maybe not of the greatest means, they kind of have to live day to day or crop to crop. They don't have the luxury of prolonging their processing to try to attempt to get a higher score and get a higher price, or hopefully maybe a higher price, right? Like someone was just telling me about these buyers who are reneging on their producers, and it's like you already bought the coffee, they delivered it, and now you're like not going to pay them, So it's like these are people that can't really weather that, and sadly, for the years that I've been in the coffee business, we bought quite a bit of coffee from small farmers, but the reality is that in order for us to maintain the quality that we are seeking, and to me, it's really always been about the quality that we're offering to our guests, is the paramount position, right? If we can help farmers along the way, we want to do that. I want to do that, but it's not always possible. And invariably, that means that the people that we end up working with tend to be pretty much the 1% of their nations. And it's like, they're the people that can have larger productions. They're the people that can do more experimental type of processing. They can grow different varieties of coffee. Like you'll see in the video, we talk about the Typica Mejorado. You'll also see all over the internet these guys talking about all these beautiful coffees and experimental lots. Those are not coming from small farmers typically. Those are coming from people that are fairly well capitalized, fairly well positioned. Like if you probably heard of La Palma del Tucán, right? It's a place in Colombia. Beautiful coffees, like immaculate coffees. If you ever visit their farm, they're not hurting for money, right? They're definitely many steps above the campesino farmer. But this, I believe, is from a little bit more of a campesino type farmer. I'm presuming. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know much about Indonesian coffee. What I do know about Southeast Asian coffee, particularly the Philippines, is that a lot of the producers in the Philippines, especially the ones we've worked with, are very small farmers. Like some of our best coffees come from the Talandig tribe in Bukidnon, and these are guys that are literally tribal guys in their tribal gear, and there's the road, and then to get to their plot of land that they're growing coffee on, it's a 2 to 3 hour hike. Like I've never been there because Z was like, "You want to go?" And I was like, "How far is the walk?" It's a hike through the mountains, and she's a skinny woman who does a lot of hiking. I'm a chubby. Thanks for being gracious. I'm a chubby guy that doesn't do a lot of walking, or a lot of hiking, and I would not. I'm not the guy to climb the mountain, and so I've actually never been there because of that. But these are guys that are small farmers, and so hopefully, I'm thinking that somewhere along the way, this is probably like that. But gosh, this coffee smells great. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to follow Don's cupping style pour over brew, which basically in the video, he takes the coffee, he brews it as he would in a cupping. And so what that means that we're going to take the hot water, we're going to put it in a cup, we're going to steep it for 4 minutes, and then we're going to put it through a paper filter. Oh, you know what I forgot to get? If I'm going to run hot water through these glasses, I need to get the bigger cupping glass. Give me one moment. This is the one thing I forgot to get before we launch the live stream. All right, get a spoon here. This is the nice thing about wireless, is that I can walk away and keep talking. All right, here we are. We're back again. Got my cupping spoon. And we've got our water. The water's not quite boiling, so I'm going to just warm it up because it's been in the roastery and it's pretty cold. Now, unlike a typical cupping that we would put the coffee in the cup and then add the water, he put the water in first and then added the coffee. So we're going to follow that. And then we're also going to put it through the V60. Now, in the video, he's using what looks to me like a Kalita 185 ceramic brewer. That's already been packed away, so I no longer have access to my Kalita brewer. So we're just going to use our regular kind of filtration. And what I'm going to do this time is I will pre-wet the filter only to make sure that it stays locked on to the brewer itself, right? Okay, so we got that there. Put that aside. Now we're going to take our coffee. We're going to weigh out. Since we're going to be making a 12-ounce cup, we're going to go 24 grams. Ooh, there's actually more than 24 grams in here. That actually makes me very excited. Maybe I'll have some for another day. Now, here's one thing also that I will tell you. I've kept it sealed. I've never opened this. It did get a little bit of a bump in transit, but I don't think it necessarily broke the seal. And I have only kept this sitting around the roastery. I did not do any special handling. I did not freeze it. A lot of coffees we do freeze to preserve its flavor at that point of freezing. I didn't do that for this one. I just thought, let's see how it goes. And now we're going to do a cupping roast. I'm going to do a little bit of a finer, not finer, but more of a closer to medium grind. Turn the heat back on and get it boiling up. Oh man, that aroma just really bursts out. That fragrance, that dry fragrance, just like still heavy fruit, cherry, maybe a little bit of dragon fruit, maybe a little of mango, but heavy on the chocolate too. There's that heavy chocolate coming through. All right, so we've got that. Put this here, put this there. I'm going to. Okay, so we have to add the water first. Our water's boiling. I'm gonna let it come off the boil for a second. Okay, well, there it is. I'm gonna add this in. I will make sure that it's fully saturated. Oh, turn our timer on. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Get this ready. Oh, I need to get the. I'm just not prepared. Okay, so as you can see, we're rolling, and 3 minutes. Oh yeah, we're still in the first minute. So we're gonna get our brewer here. This. We're gonna get ready for that. Move that cup out of the way. So if you have any questions, let me know. You know, I would like to visit Indonesia. I have not been there yet. One of my good friends has a coffee shop in Jakarta. He's always like, well, how would you come visit? I was like, I'll come visit eventually. You know, the thing that I find is that when you're out there, it's kind of difficult. It's difficult to have enough time to go everywhere, right? Because I always think that, oh, I can just bounce here. Maybe I can bounce to Jakarta for a couple of days and then to Bangkok to visit friends. Then maybe hit Ho Chi Minh for a couple more days and then back to Manila and then hit Tokyo on the way home. But really, if you talk about, let's say, what I just say, I said Jakarta, Manila, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh, Tokyo, 5. I mean, if you only spent 2 days, you're already 10 days. That's almost 2 weeks. So it's like, oh man, it's really, and when you go out that far, you kind of want to make the best of it. Like I stretched that trip that we're watching the videos from. That was a total of 30 days. I went for a whole month, and I was like, it was long. It was a bit grueling, but it was a good time. It was a good time. But again, it's still one of those things where it's like I didn't have enough time. Like I could do a whole year out there and be fine with that. Yeah, it was totally a coffee tour. So I started in Kuala Lumpur, and for their latte art championship. I was the head judge for that, overseeing that event, and then from there I went to Bangkok for a couple of days to shoot the Wanwan video and a bunch of the videos to Bangkok. I was supposed to go to Ho Chi Minh City, but I totally messed up my visa. I totally forgot that I didn't realize I needed a visa. I've gotten so used to traveling without a visa that I was like sitting in Bangkok, and the night before I'm supposed to fly to Ho Chi Minh, I'm hanging out with one of my friends, and he's like, dude, did you get a visa? And I was like, do I need a visa? I think so. We're Americans. I was like, so I went back to the hotel. I was like, oh my gosh, totally hosed that. And then Manila, then I went to Manila. And if you've seen like the videos like from Because and those are from there. And then I went to Japan at the very end of the trip. So I was in Tokyo for a week, which is the longest I've been in Tokyo for a long, long time. Usually I'll do Tokyo for like 2-3 days on the way back. But this time I was like, you know what? I'm going to stretch it. I'm just going to go for it. Like, yeah. All right, so here we're coming up in the last 30 seconds. We can get rid of this thing. We don't need that. 19. Now, he just kind of poured it in, and I kind of don't like that, meaning that I want to get all the coffee. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start. Let's have a look at this before. We don't have too much falling. There's some stuff falling right now, but all right. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir, and then, oh, not so elegant. Not so elegant. Eric says, my connection to Indonesia is my Dutch grandfather who was born there. His father was the manager of a huge coffee plantation. So I like to believe my coffee fascination is in my blood. Absolutely. Absolutely is in your blood. All right. So there it is. You know, a little bit too rushed on the pour. All right. So we have done this. We've ratioed it for our normal dose of 24 grams to make 12 ounces of coffee. So we only have less than 300. So we're going to go and add more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cool down the water just a little bit from the kettle by transferring into this cold Kalita. I'm going to add that in. Oh, right about there. Right, that's it. Yeah, that's good. I know it's not so, we're not so scientific. All right, let's have a look at our elixir. Oh, sorry, not so pretty, not so pretty. As you can see, it's very light. Like, it's very tea-like in color. Look at that, the tea, very tea-like in color. Very interesting. Look at that. Yeah, very light. Still that fruity, like cherry, dark cherry aroma. A bit on the hot side. Huh. Very light. The body's very light. The flavor is kind of light. Very light cherry, very light fruit. We've ratioed it right, 24 grams to 350 mils of water. But it feels like it's underdeveloped, or not underdeveloped, but just it feels very light overall. Very delicate. Maybe that's the way to put it. Very low body. Clean finish. Maybe a little bit fleeting on the finish, right? Juicy, a little bit lemony, like maybe now like light sour cherry. Definitely juicy, not terribly bright. Like it's a very, actually it feels very balanced. It's a light-bodied coffee that has light flavor characteristics. Like it's, you get that lemony, you get a little bit of sour cherry, but it's not dramatic, right? It's very kind of subtle and subdued and just kind of mellow. But it's a juicy cup, so it's clean. It's, I don't recall what I said in the video now about the brewed version of this, but I don't know if it's the same. I mean, I don't think the result is the same. It, you know, oh, Graysuit says, hey, Graysuit, how are you? Good to have you. The coffee sounds nice. It is a nice coffee. It's just different than what I was expecting. Like I was expecting, and I don't know why I'm expecting this, because I mean, I've had it before. I just don't, and I made the video about it last week, so I don't really know if I mean, I should recall more of the notes, but I don't really recall anything. Oh, we was talking about Genmai Cha. Let's see, Genmai Cha, Mulberry. Oh, mulberry. I guess mulberry. Yeah, that could be that cherryness, that sour cherryness could be like a mulberry. Butterfly pea. I don't really know what butterfly pea is. Stevia. I don't get too much sweetness, but maybe as it cools, that sweetness will become more apparent, right? And Michael says, try the Wanwan method to see if it matches your memory. Well, that's what we're trying to do. So I'm going to have to, what I'll really have to do is review this video and that video as well. And, look at the notes from the video there and then see how it turned out. I'm sure there's going to be some change over the last, June, July, August, September, October, November, 6 months. I mean, it's been almost 6 months since we shot the video. I shot it at the end of March, and the end of May 29th is what I think when we shot it. Yeah, Baldhead says the coffee is much older now. Yeah, so probably it's much more of a mellower experience than what I'm experiencing in the video. But still a very light, fruity, but not so like, when I say fruity, a lot of times we talk about being like strawberry fruity, berry fruity, blueberry fruity. This is not that. This is definitely more on the cherry, lemon, mulberry kind of fruitiness. And it is very mild. It's a very mild, it's not like blaring trumpets in your face. This is like subdued, not subdued, but just kind of gentle string section, right? Michael's asking, was the coffee in the fridge? The coffee was not. I left it out to see how it would fare just out in the open. Like I do keep a lot of coffees in the freezer, but sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Let's see how it performs without freezing. Because I've done enough experimentation over the last 20 years with freezing that I know that if I have this coffee and I like it today, and I put it in the freezer and I pull it a year from now, it's going to taste the same. Scientifically, chemically, that's just what's going to be, how it's going to be. As long as you're having terrible fluctuations in your freezing conditions, it should be perfectly fine. And but I'm fascinated to see how coffees change over time, especially when they're like sealed and unopened, right? And Grace said, "This is a sit, put on a record, and show." Oh, yeah, that's actually yeah, that's definitely like I would say. I was gonna say maybe like a sit down and chill record, maybe a little jazz pumping, maybe a cigar. But then I think the cigar, even a light cigar, would be too powerful. This is something you want to enjoy on your own. Like today here in Baltimore, really mild and kind of like I had a fleece vest on and I walked out of the house and I was like, it's kind of like a bit warm for that, right? I got a t-shirt underneath the flannel. I was like, oh, I was expecting to be cold. Yesterday was pretty cold. Today's pretty mild and sunny. This would be nice to sit out on a cafe table and just kind of chill with the music in the background. Yeah, totally. I totally see that. And Michael says, sounds like this one's when especially, yeah, I mean, it's good. It's solid. This is some solid coffee. Especially if you're the kind of person that wants to have lighter, more subtle kind of coffees. This is really quite pretty still. Now, if you want that fanfare, that hard, that heavy chocolate and all that kind of body, this is not going to be the one for you, right? And actually, if you go into, I got a link on the main video for this, the Wanwan video. If you're interested in trying it, and I'm not sure if they will ship to America, but I do believe I put a link to their online ordering. And the last time I looked at it, this is still available on their, I think it's still available on their website. The Typica Mejorado is not. I think that was just an experimental batch that he got. It wasn't really part of their normal offerings. That's what he used in the World Championships. And I think I was part of helping him because he was asking me, well, what do you think I should use? I said, dude, if you could deliver this and, come through with the flavor notes to the judges, it's killer. It's killer. This is still excellent. This is excellent. Yeah, definitely cherry. Yeah, mulberry. Still that lemony. As it's cooling, those are becoming a little more pronounced. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. All right, so here in the United States, we're on the eve of American Thanksgiving. And so those of you who are celebrating, what do you guys plan to do? Anything interesting tomorrow? I'm going to my mom's, and then a lot of our family. My family comes together for kind of like a later lunch, usually around 1 o'clock or so we eat, or maybe 2 o'clock. So my extended family comes, cousins, uncles, aunts, and we usually have a variety of foods, usually turkey, of course, turkey. Uh, my father likes to make a beef tenderloin, so he makes a big beef tenderloin. What else are we making? My brother usually makes usually my brother's been making the turkey the last few years. Like some of my friends have been asking me, like, what are you doing for this year? And I was like, I really haven't done much at Thanksgiving these last like 45 years. I mean, meaning that like I haven't actually been in charge of any of the dishes. I've actually kind of like, I'll be kind of consultant. Like family members will ask me, they're like, how should I do this and how should I do that? And I'll be like, well, we'll try this and try that and bring it to this temperature and use this temperature curve. And I've been in more of a consulting phase. But this year my mom was like, oh, you should make the spaghetti. So then I made for her a few weeks back this spaghetti Napolitan from one of the videos. And I was like, you want to try it? She was like, sure. And she was like, oh, this is good. Let's make that for, because the kids, they like Filipino style spaghetti, like the ones from, Filipino style restaurants like Jollibee or whatever. And so for family events, we've been ordering that. But my mom was like, this time, she's like, just make that instead of us ordering. We'll just make that. And then I'm sure we'll have my aunt will probably bring Filipino food. We got the Santerval. My mom's made macarons, the little Parisian style French macaron. So that should be a nice time. Hopefully you guys will have a nice holiday as well. And yeah. All right. I guess that's going to be it for today. I think it was Eric was asking, hey, man, why don't you do a Black Coffee Friday? All right, maybe. I was planning on taking it off, but maybe. I'm leaning towards it. And let me see how I feel. Like tomorrow, I'll be out, breaking my meal plan, and then probably going to a friend's house in the evening to have some cigars. We probably will not do the coffee and cigar show tomorrow night. And so if I'm not going to be too wasted because I got to drive home. So I'm not typically going crazy, but I've already shot the thumbnail for it. So I'm planning on, if we can do it, we'll do it. And I've got a really nice coffee for Black Coffee Friday. Right. And also some, thanks, Grace Hood. Happy Thanksgiving to you. There's some good deals coming out. If you're a Fellow fan, I just saw this morning that Fellow's having a Black Friday sale, 20% off. And what else did I see out there? That's it. I've got to work on the gift guide. Maybe I'll shoot that today. Hopefully get it out by maybe tomorrow. And then for me personally, for Black Friday, I've been looking like there's online editing packages that include LUTs and like motion graphics. And this one library was available now for $70. I was like, maybe I should buy that. And then my designer suite, I use Affinity Photo and those things. They're like, oh, we had a Black Friday sale too. I was like, ooh, I should buy those as well. Update to the newest versions. But I really am thinking about like the sale's not very big. It's like only $10 off. I was like, so it's not really like I feel an imperative to go buy them. But they have a little sale on the Bear Dynamic DT 990 Pros, which are open-backed headphones that I've been thinking I should like use open-back headphones for some of the editing of the video, so that when we're mastering the audio, because as I'm trying to master the audio, I mean, I have nice monitors, but they're nice monitors, right? They're not like, they don't necessarily simulate the conditions that everybody's watching them on. Like if you watch it on your phone, it's very different than if you're in a nice home setup. So I'm trying to listen to more sources as we're producing the videos to try to, make adjustments to maybe some of the EQ or some of the settings to hopefully make it better. I'm still learning more about that engineering side of it. What else is there? Oh, I don't know what else. There was one thing I wanted to say as well. Was coffee? The Bear Dynamics. I'll figure it out. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. The Wanwan Coffee. If you go to the main video, the Wanwan videos, I think there is a link there to their shopping portal. If you want to buy the coffee, I think it is still available. really nice, really like light-bodied, fruity, mulberry, sour cherry, lemon. And this is 6 months old. So, don't always have to have the best coffee. Like, and there are certain people that are like, oh, it's 2 months old, we got to throw that away. Like, well, are you crazy? This is still great. All right, so Wilson, great to see you. Mom, always. Gray suit, perfect. And then Michael says, sounds great. Happy Thanksgiving. Tribal coffee mentioned is very interesting for Black Coffee Friday. Oh, I would do that, but I don't have any prepared. We could do an Arabic style coffee. Oh, I can't do that either because the brewing equipment for that I've already packed. So I'm kind of been packing. So especially like as I'm using them now, like I'm at the point where I've got pretty much all the brewing equipment packed. So as we've been doing the shows, we're like the Arita 39 from yesterday, that's already in the box. So it's already being packed away. In anticipation, there's a lot to do. God, there's so much to move. It's crazy. But anyway, we'll go into that more. Baldhead, Michael, thank you very much. All of you guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, hope you have a wonderful Thursday. And maybe we'll be back on Friday morning. If you see the listing out, we're back. All right, so hope you have a great one. Thank you very much for tuning in. Always great to see all of you. And see you next time.